Hey guys, this is Iggypu from 360rantrave.com. I just recorded a video, a basic review of performance design products, PDP's AX.1 Xbox 360 Afterglow controller. I also took a video of myself playing Super Street Fighter 4 utilizing the D-pad of the controller because that was one of the biggest pivotal points brought up by gamers looking to get the controller. I demonstrated that it's pretty effective, but I also mentioned earlier, I believe, in one of the other videos, that the first weekend I took out the controller to test it on Battlefield Bad Company 2, I had an issue bumping into the D-pad, which is a serious problem when you're playing first-person shooters, specifically Bad Company 2, because you'll select something other than your weapon when you need it the most. So I'm going to jump into a random pickup game, and we'll take a look at the sensitivity of the analog stick, see if I bump into the D-pad, which I haven't been able to recreate yet, so I'm so far chalking it up to user error. This is about the same proximity, if not the exact same proximity, from the analog stick that the stock Microsoft controller has. So we're going to check that out. I'm also going to show you the active lighting, one of three lighting settings for the controller. On is permanently on, off is permanently off, and active means that it lights up whenever the controller vibrates. So, jump into a quick match and see what happens. I'll also try to get on camera the degree of force you have to put behind the analog stick in order for it to be reflected on the screen. Unfortunately, it's a good bit because the stick is pretty sturdy. All the controls are pretty sturdy, pretty stiff, and you don't really notice this as an issue until you're playing something that requires extreme precision, like first-person shooters. Sometimes it's reflected as you jerking your sights around a bit too much because you overshoot or undershoot and don't pull it enough. It can also be an issue when you're trying to snipe someone, hit someone on the move. We'll show you how it works. Okay, so it's on active lighting right now, and since I'm somewhat hidden over here, I'll go ahead and fire. And you can see that the controller lights up with the vibrate feature, which is pretty cool. Some people claim it's a distraction, but they're at the same time playing a game with a lot of explosions and flashbangs and all that. So I'm going to write that off. I don't think it's a valid excuse to complain about the controller. I think it's more effective because you have another way of indicating that something's going down, like you're getting hit, you're firing shots, whatever, without having to rely upon the sound. As you can see, I'm having some issues tracking the enemies. Now, when you're looking down your scopes in this game, it's not that big a deal because you're slowed down anyway. But for high speed, or high speed real-time manipulation of the controller, it can play a factor. See, when they're just strafing, it's one thing, but when you're actually trying to get some real movement on the screen, players oftentimes will overshoot, expecting the same sensitivity and smoothness in the analog stick as the stock 360 controller. Now, I'm going to let you see just how much force you have to put into moving the stick to move the screen. Still moving it. Okay, so it looks like it's about 45 degrees at times before you see a real movement, which in some games isn't that big a deal, but in first-person shooters it is definitely a big deal. See how I keep overshooting? It's because I'm trying to get a spot on somebody. But it's really hard to get it exactly on. There's a little lag there, but that doesn't affect the analog movement. Alright, try to jump into the thick of things one more time so we can see the movement. Oh yes. We have people rubber banding on the four-wheelers. So all in all, the controller is a good controller. It's very affordable. It's $10 cheaper than usual. It's wired, so that means it doesn't have the battery, so it's lighter. And the only real complaints I have are that it doesn't allow for the chat pad, which I highlighted in the review video, and the controls are a little too stiff for general gaming, because first-person shooters are a big pull for 360 gamers. Alright, I think that's good enough for now. But yeah, you get the gist of it. The controls are pretty stiff, which is good because it prevents you from accidentally hitting the wrong input, but it's a problem whenever you need precision in certain games like first-person shooters. There's no chat pad, so that's a bummer because there's no spot for it here. But the active light up is pretty cool. The package is just overall sweet. It's a good controller. Make sure you consider which games you're considering using it for. But overall, all in all, it's a good controller. Worst case scenario, you could do like I do. I have one for like solo gaming, where I don't plan to communicate with other people, just run around, play like Street Fighter, whatever. And then the stock controller, where I can put in the messenger kit and the headset and all that jazz at the same time, and get my hardcore gaming in, where leaderboards matter. Alright, thanks for checking us out. This has been Iggypu on Twitter, Iggypu. My buddy Jolly Buccaneer on Twitter, and the 360 Rant Rave Twitter. We have 360 Rant Rave videos as the YouTube channel. Check us out if you're watching this. It's just like one click away, so check out our other videos like our E3 coverage. And 360rantrave.com. We have forums there. Check those out. I sometimes give stuff away, so it's worth looking into. Thanks a lot, guys, and thanks to PDP and PDP Candace for hooking us up at E3. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.